Hi, welcome to my channel Inspired by Jenny. This is going to be my very first video I've uploaded ever of myself, of anything that I'm doing. So give it a like, hit the subscribe. I'm going to try to keep you updated with like DIYs and just simple things that should be easy to do and easy to follow. So today I have a pair of uniform shorts for a young man who they're a little too long for his liking, and he wants them to be the same length as the other ones that he had last year. So we have here the pants, and I'm going to put my shot on it and I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing. Okay, these are the shorts, and they brought them to me and they're folded twice, and that's the length that he is comfortable with them at. And so I have two other pair that I'm going to be doing as well. So just to give me an idea of the length that all of them are going to end up being, you're going to measure the inseam, and you do the same thing with jeans or any alterations that you're making on the length of pants, shorts, skirt, whatever. You would follow your seam. So we're going to measure that, and that's going to give us 7 3/4 is where it's at for the inseam. So, and that's just going to be my go-to number that I'll be able to measure and make sure that they're all the length that he is wanting them at. So now I'm going to take them down, and I could see there where the fold was at. That's where it's gonna, the lengthwise it's supposed to end up whenever it's folded in and sewed, is there. So that means that it needs to come up 2 inches. And this is 3/4 of an inch, and it's folded twice. So that means I'm not going to be able to cut this, because then it's not going to be long enough for me to fold and get that seam line that's going to go across there. So I'm going to have to take this seam out in order to get that enough allowance in the fabric. So let me find my handy dandy seam ripper, and then I'm going to pop this out. And I love this seam ripper, it's really great. Alright, easy peasy. Okay, and just to make sure that everything is as accurate as possible, alright, I'm going to use that first measurement that I got. Let me see, where's the, I was not ready. Well, alright, I'm gonna measure this based off the first measurement I got from the crotch going down, the 7 3/4. So, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna go this way. That way I can line this chalk, this wax chalk up with the edge, and that's gonna be where it lands lengthwise. All right, and so with the hem being 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch times 2 is 1.5 inches. So we're gonna go down from that mark 1.5 inches, and that's gonna be our cut line. So we're gonna measure that. How far is that? up. So our first line is going to be from the bottom. Well, you gotta make sure it's laying down right, and that's not. Okay. That's gonna be the first notch right up under the 1.5. So that's, is it the second notch? 5/8. Yeah, so it's gonna be 1 5/8. So I'm gonna come over here and find 1 5/8, which is the second notch right there, right here, under the 1.5. So we'll go there and we'll mark it. And that's our first line. And then from there up, we're going 1.5 inches for our full fold. All right. And then we're going to take, I got this so that you can see through. And you're just going to line that up with that and go straight across. Boom. Just like that. And then you're going to do the same down here. Now you only have to mark that bottom one once because that's going to be your cut line. And you go like that. And then gotta flip it over. So I usually what I do, I didn't do it this time, but I usually will try to mark my measurement line where it's going to be folding at. Try to do it in the center so that whenever I flip it to the other side, it is where it needs to be already, so I don't have to keep measuring and marking. Like, see how it went over because I did it on the center. And this guy, he's there, so I could kind of roll it a little. Or not. It's doing what it wants to do. And I could just take it just as long as I could see where it's going to be lining up at. Like so. And boom. Okay, and so then we'll do the same thing on the other leg. I'm sorry, my chair makes a ton of noise. That's what I got to work with, so that's what we got. And I always, because I had the 2 times that I remember that I just went for it and started cutting before I did the other leg, I messed my measurements up and I ended up ruining clients' bottoms. So I like to always do both legs measurement wise, just so that you could, like, you know, make sure that you're accurate with your markings. Because as soon as you think, okay, yeah, I got it, I'll go ahead and cut this one, and you move forward, something terrible happens. I'm not saying that it'll happen to you, but it happened to me twice, so I've learned my lesson. Alright, so this guy, we're just gonna, I'll show you what I was talking about with the other leg whenever I didn't do it. Okay. We're going to use the same exact measurements that we used on the other one. And we had 1 5/8 from the very bottom. That's there. And we're going to mark. Make sure that we get it on each side of that seam so that we won't have any problems like we did a while ago. And from there up, 1.5 for our fold for our hemline. Alright, and then do the inside seam as well. Oh, 1 5/8. There. And then from there up, 1.5. Alright, and now we will be able, it's not cooperating today. Alright, so now we have these lines to line up. Use this guy. There. And you want to make sure that you get right beside the line. You don't want to get too far on it, because if you do, you'll notice that whenever you go to mark your line, it's going to be kind of off. And so you want to just far enough over to where it's not pushing your chalk line out too far. All right, and see, we flip it over. Almost. I see it just faintly, but it's right there. And sorry. Hit the stand, and boom, just like that. And we won't have to worry about that one because that's our cut line. We only need it once. Okay. I was not ready. Where are my scissors? They're usually up here on the metal strip. I'm gonna pause this. I'll be right back while I go find my scissors. Okay. So we're gonna, this is our fold line. This is our cut line. We're going to just cut straight across, making sure that everything's straight. Just like that. Perfect. Now we're gonna do the other leg. See these folding back up. It just makes it too bulky to cut accurately. So just make sure that everything's straight. Just helps with the cut line. Alright, there you go. And now the fun part. I already earlier found a matching thread and got my machine all ready to go. I'm gonna move all this stuff out of the way. Hang it back up here. Seam ripper, close it up. Safety, safety. And if that thing rolls off and breaks, I might cry. Alright. I'm gonna take this off because I'm gonna be putting the leg portion around. And it's just what I like to do. You don't have to do it like this, but I like to start on the inside seam because whenever you're going around, you don't backstitch because you're gonna meet that place again, right? So what I do is I take this edge and I fold it until I feel that it's right on my chalk line, and then I fold again, and that's how I measure that out. And I always, because like what I was saying, sorry, it goes all the way around, and so you're gonna run back over the seam again, and that's basically your back stitch. So what I do is I like to start on the inside just so that double line, whenever it meets back up, is on the inside and it's not so much as seen. Okay, and then I just go forward and go ahead and get a good little portion of it lined up and go to town. And you can see where it's at. Just try to stay right along that edge. And if you have trouble lining it up like that, you can see this edge is lining up against this line that's usually pretty standard on machine, and you could try to just keep that edge there. That way you know your stitch is straight. But as long as you move pretty quickly, it'll stay pretty straight. this extra string off. Okay. And there you have a pretty good looking hem. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. And the chalk that I use is a wax chalk, so this is gonna iron off when I press my hem, so it won't even be there at all anymore. So again, I fold until I feel it on this line, then I fold. Easy peasy. Line it up under here. Get my needle dropped. I'm sorry if you hear that dog next door barking. Poor guy, he just wants to come in sometimes. Fantastic. Get that. I always snip my bottom one first because it doesn't matter how far you pull that out, it's not going to adjust. But the top one, you always want to make sure that you pull it out a little bit farther before you cut it, because whenever you start sewing, this tends to suck back up into that. And if you don't have enough pulled out, it will unthread. And it's not hard to thread the needle, but it's a pain in the butt to have to keep doing it. So always try to make sure you pull that thread, that top thread, out far enough to where it doesn't get sucked back and unthread your needle. Alright. And there we have a nice hem. And I think it looks pretty good. And I'm going to get them all pressed out. And I don't know if y'all, I'm sure y'all don't want to see me ironing shorts, but that hem is just going to melt, that hemline is going to melt right off of there whenever that heat touches it, because it's wax. So it's perfect. And if you ever want to double check and make sure, just remember your original inseam measurement. Yeah. And 7 3/4. Perfect. It's like I'm a pro. I've only been seamstress working for over 3 years. So, all right. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask away. Ignore my messy craft room. Got some other projects I'm going to be working on soon, and I hope to be able to make videos for that as well. So stay tuned, because I have, I think, six dining room chair seats I'm going to be recovering, and I'm going to be putting in some very thick foam that the client wants to add into the chairs to make them just a little more cushy. It's pretty thick foam, so it's going to be something to behold, I'm sure. So we'll see how it goes, and that'll be my next video, hopefully. So have a great day. Thanks for the watch, the likes, and the subscriptions.